In this video, we're going to look at the filter function, and the filter function was introduced with the dynamic arrays and the dynamic array functions in Excel 365. They're not available in Excel 2019, but they are available in Excel 365 and Excel Online. So the filter function basically filters a list or filters a table down to a subset based on filters that you want to apply to your actual list or your table of data. You will probably be familiar with the filters on a table of data, where you can select on a filter drop down and filter a table into a subset so you can do further analysis or investigate items within that subset. Well, this new filter function now allows you to do that by formula, and it gives you awesome power. What we're going to do is look at a few examples in this video. We're going to look at the basic filter function. Then we're going to look at some more advanced stuff like filter using the AND criteria and filter using the OR criteria. So I have a small table of data here. We have the date, the product, the customer, and we have the values. And I've just basically copied the header names down to here because we're going to do our filter function down here. Now let's start with the filter. So filter basically says to filter a range or an array. So what it looks for first is the array, and this is the entire data set that you want filtered. If you want an entire table filtered, you'd select the table. If you wanted just one column selected, you'd select just that one column. Now in this example, we're going to select cell references, but in a few minutes, I'm going to convert this to a table and show you the difference. So we are looking for the array that we want to filter. So we're selecting all of our data here. Next, it's asking us, what is it that we want to include? Well, let's say we want to filter this table only to show the product of apples. So it's basically like a lookup. It's going to go down through this table and it's going to filter and return all of the rows that contain apples. So we want to select the products and we want to say that that is equal to apples. Now we also have another option here, which is if empty, and we're going to ignore that for a moment because it's in square brackets. You can ignore it. Now, like all other dynamic array functions, this function is going to spill. If, for example, you have something in the way, you're going to get your spill error. Now, I know that we have something in the way, but if you were looking at a much larger spreadsheet and it wasn't as easy to spot, you can select on this error option and then select obstructing cell and delete it or move it to wherever else you need. You can see the spill range with this blue box around. Now what we've done there is we've used a very basic filter, and we filtered this table just to show us the products of apples. Let's go back in here, and I'm going to put in bikes because we don't have any bikes in our data set at the moment, and we get a calculation error. Now it's very easy to overcome this calculation error. You don't need to use the if error or anything else like this. We have the optional field of if empty. So I'm going to say none because we don't have any and close our bracket. And now instead of getting the calculation error, we have specified what we want to put in if we don't have anything. Now I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to change that back to apples. And we see we have filtered for our apples. The filter function basically returns an array. So let me just come over here for a second and we will put in the filter function, and we are going to filter our values here, and we're going to filter them where our values are greater than, let's say, 100. And hit enter, and we see all our values spill out. So it produces an array. Now by producing an array, we can actually include this inside another function, such as the sum function or the average function. So let's wrap this inside the average function. And now we can get the average of the sales where the sales are greater than 100. So that is how you can just include the filter function to look up values, return values, and then carry out a calculation on them. Now, if we were to update this data set here, so let's put in the 4th of the 1st, 2020. Let's put in bikes. Let's put in bike shop. Shop, if I spelled it right. And we'll just put in an arbitrary number of 100. And we're going to go back in here and we're going to again say bikes. And we'll see that again we have got none. So when we added a new row, it didn't pick up that new row. So why did it not pick up that new row? Well, it didn't because we set these cells here as cell references, and we didn't use the table format. For dynamic array functions to truly be dynamic, they're best used with tables. That way, they will pick up additional data as you add new data to your table. So let's go ahead and convert this to a table. And I'm going to call this table sales. Now I'm going to go back into my filter function again. So equals filter. And this time my filter function, I am going to select my entire sales table. Now it's asking us what is it that we want to include. Well, let's say that we want our products. And we see now that it is taken, instead of cell references, it's taking the table sales column product, and we want that equal to apples, and that's all we want. So we can close the bracket and it returns back to us apples. So you see the difference there is that now we are using table references, but if we add a new line to the table, and again bikes and the bike shop and 150, and now if we change our product in here to bikes, it should now pick up 2 rows of bikes, which it does because we've referenced to a table rather than to actual cell references. And when you reference to the table, it updates stuff for us. Now let's go back in here to this formula again. And when we referenced our product, we hard coded our product in. We can reference another cell that contains a product. Now I'm going to reference this H2 cell here because I actually have in here a drop down, so I can select between the different products and quickly then summarize the data based on the different products. And that is using just one criteria. Now we're going to look at the more advanced stuff. We're going to look at using 2 criteria. And first of all, we're going to look at using 2 criteria with the AND. So let's take two criteria, our products and our fruit. And we're going to go back in here and we're going to edit this function. When you have more than one criteria, what you need to do is wrap your criteria in a bracket for the first criteria that you want to include. And when you're doing AND, so when you're joining together with the AND, both conditions must be met for the condition to return a true and to return the values that you want. Now, you can't use the AND function in these dynamic arrays. What you need to use is the star or the asterisk symbol. And then you put in your second criteria in brackets. So we want where our corner shop, and we'll see it takes our column and our column name, is equal to our fruits. And we close the bracket on that, and then we need to close the bracket on our filter. So now we can pull back all the sales of lemons in just the shop of Bees Fruits. We could change the shop of Bees Fruits. There's no lemons in Dine With Me. There are oranges in Dine With Me, but there are no lemons in Dine With Me. And you can play with the filters like this. So that's 2 criteria with the AND. But what about 2 criteria with OR? Well, let's go back in here, and I've pressed F2 to edit. And the OR criteria is just a little bit different to the AND criteria in that you're going to replace the star with a plus. Now, what's going on behind the scenes is a little bit more complex. It's calculations of trues and falses and ones and twos, and the adding or multiplication of these to give you 1s, 0s or 2s. And that's a little bit beyond the scope of this video. But you put in the and sign here for that reason and hit enter. And now we are returned with any values that are either oranges or dine with me. So the or symbol is using the plus, and the and symbol, you're going to use the asterisk or the star. Now, if we were to delete one of these values, and this is where we're going to take things that one step further. At the moment, we are showing all just Dine With Me products. We're not showing, we don't really have any filters on any of these. So what we want to be able to do is make sure that it returns, if one of them is blank, that we don't have an actual error. Now, the error will happen when you are trying to use the and symbol. So with the and, you can't have a blank value in one of these. It just won't work because you've got an and there has to be something in each of them. So how can we go about this, that if we have just one selected, it'll give us all grapes for all customers? Well, let's go back into our formula now. And in our formula, we have taken our sales as our array. But now what we're going to say is, in a bracket is blank. So I'm going to select is blank. I'm going to select our H2 cell, so our criteria cell, and we're saying is that blank. And now we are going to put that with an and we're going to put that against our products. We are going to do the same then. We are going to open up another bracket and say is a blank. And what are we going to say is blank? Well, this time we're going to select our customer cell and we are going to add that. Now, the is blank and the sales customer should also be wrapped in a bracket. And when we only have one selected, it won't cause a problem for us. So at the moment, there's no grapes for sale in the corner shop, but there is apples in the corner shop. Now, if we delete corner shop now, we can see that we have apples for all of the shops. If we were to delete apples, we have all of our products. And if we were to put in corner shop, it would give us the sales for all of the corner shops. So what we've done is to include that is we've said if the reference cell is a blank, and we've added that as an or criteria to our sales if it matches what's in there. And then we've had that as an and criteria against the same but for the actual customer. So that is a little bit complex. I did go a little bit fast there at the end. So if you need to rewind this video, please do. So that is the filter function. It is really, really an amazing function. As I said, it is used to look up values and return subsets of much larger sets of data. I can see a lot of uses for the filter function in the future.